So in today's video, we're going to be looking at the alternative to a black traditional pond filter. And there's not many filters on the market in the UK that are pleasing to the eye, should I say. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at the large filter urn that we import from America. It's a professional grade product. It's not a cheap throwaway disposable item. It's a professional grade, and that's why we recommend putting these large filter urns onto your pond. I'm going to upgrade this slightly with using a different type of pipe, but I'll explain that to you later on in this video. So stay tuned for the Any Pond showcase. Hi guys, it's Mark from anypond.com, your trusted resource in the UK for ponds and water features. And today we've got a wildlife pond here, and there's no form of filtration, there's no mechanisation. The customer used to have a small fountain pump that used to be very high maintenance, and that used to have a small fountain. So what we're looking for is we're looking for a much better filtration system for this pond that doesn't require a lot of work, and it basically adds the sound of running water back behind where you are now, so you can enjoy it in the garden. It is a wildlife pond, so what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade a couple of different things. We're going to put a pre-filter on the actual pump to reduce the maintenance, so you don't have to clean out the screens. We're also going to install upgraded piping, and that will allow a blow-off valve. So if there's far too much water coming out of the large urn, we can have a certain amount coming out of another feature. And today's other feature is going to be a lazy frog on a lily pad. So let me go and grab the filter urn and let's put it into place and see what we think. So what we've got here is the large filter urn in a box. A lot of people don't realise that it is actually quite a heavy duty item. You might be able to hear from my voice, it's not a light bit of kit by any means. But that's the urn that we're putting in today. We're also going to put in the submersible pond filter onto the front of the pump. Let me go and grab that now. So here's the pump. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to remove, as you can see, I've removed the cage on the front. And then what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade this. Rather than having the small cage on the front, we're going to actually put on this bigger pond filter, which is submersible. Comes with a number of different types of biological media. We won't need the hoses because we've got those. So this submersible filter is really good for wildlife ponds, because you can see the holes are very small and not a lot of wildlife will actually go through those holes. And rather than having a small inlet to the pump like a vacuum, like in other videos, what I actually do is like to spread the suction over a bigger area. So rather than putting on an intake bay on an existing pond, we put on a submersible pre-filter for the pump, and that basically goes on there via a tube. So the pre-filter attaches with the fittings. What I've got here is I've got a fitting that goes onto the 1.5 inch thread. Then I've got a reducing bush from 50mm down to 25mm, and these are solvent weld, so they actually get glued into place. But what I always like to do is dry run, just to make sure that we've got the right fittings. I did have a play around with this last night. We've also got the 25mm suction hose, or 20mm suction hose for the actual filter urn. And then also we've got the solvent weld pipe for both the inlet and the outlet. So this is real heavy duty professional grade piping, and as you can see, it's fairly stiff. It's a very thick wall. The reason why I prefer PVC fittings rather than suction hose is because you can actually glue it into place. And as you can see, now we can have the pump anywhere, and this is where it's getting sucked from. So the pre-filter is where all the water's being sucked from. If we want to remove it, we can unthread from the end, because I've got a 3/4 inch valve on here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the outlet of the pump. And what I did is I did a little bit of work last night designing this kit. So if you want to purchase this kit, it's not a problem. This is the second feature, and all this is just ornamental really. So what we've got is we've got another 1.5 inch threaded female to go onto the pump. Then we've got the bush. Then we've got 25mm solvent weld hose, and then we come into a T. And these are regulation valves. So what this does is it allows water to be pumped up and be diverted wherever. So we're going to have the smaller feature on here, and we're going to have the filter urn on this particular one. The reason why we want valves on both doors is, let's say that this pump pumps 100 litres of water an hour or 100 litres of water a minute. It's far too big for a wildlife pond, but I'm just using it as an example. It's firing 100 litres of water down this pipe. We might only want 60 out of the filter urn. So rather than closing the door, which is a valve, we need a side outlet. So it's just like me pumping 100 people down a corridor and then closing the door and only allowing 60 people through. You need a side door that needs to be open and closed to regulate the 40 people going out to the other water feature. So this is called a blow-off valve. So rather than putting back pressure on the pump and ruining the pump, you actually have a blow-off valve, and we can regulate that. So you must have a door or a gate valve or a swing valve, any form of valve in line to basically regulate the flow. And then what we can do is we can regulate the flow coming out of the urn, and that's all great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get cracking, and we're going to get this into the pond. So this large urn filter will cope with about 5,500 litres of pond water. So it is a big unit. As you can see, it's quite big. So it will cope with this pond, no problem at all. So it will cope with the pond, no problem at all. This size pond actually is probably about 1,500. What you get with the kit is you get some clear vinyl tubing. I don't really like it because what it does is it can kink, and then if it kinks like that, then it will stop the water. It's just like putting on a clamp. It will stop the water, which is okay. It's a cheap and cheerful pipe which comes with the urn. Let's move this box out the way. So what we've got here is we've got the large filter urn, and everything comes inside the box. And what you might have seen is you might have seen me take out this filter pad. I put this fine filter pad in the box last night as I was packing up, ready to come. And the fine filter pad is an additional purchase, but as the name suggests, is a fine filter pad, so it can remove the fine bits. So what we're going to do is we're going to chop up a little bit of this and put it actually in as a filter upgrade, and I'm going to leave some for the client. As they remove the finer bits, they can just replace with a new one and then wash and let the other one get cleaner, or just simply throw it away with the bits. But what we've got in here is we've got the urn lid. Let's get the knife. It's very, very durable. As you can see, it's very well made. It is a fiberglass resin. It's not a cheap and cheerful disposable one. It is very heavy duty, and that's the lid that goes on the top. And you do need that access to the filter because obviously you're going to be cleaning it out. What we've got on the back end is we've got a 20mm adapter that the hose pipe goes onto, and what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put this on, and we're going to have to put on a Jubilee clip onto there to make that watertight. Let's do that now. So what we've got here is we've got the intake, which is the great big area for the pre-filter for the pump. We've got a 3/4 to 25mm solvent weld slip fitting. So you thread that on, and I'll glue this piece of pipe into there in a second. And then this bit goes onto the bush, which is 25mm internal and then 50mm external. And then the 50mm external goes into there, and that's how the pump will be assembled. And then we've got 50mm coming out, then we've got another bush, then we've got 25mm slip, solvent weld, that goes onto there. And then we've got this configuration which we talked about earlier, which was the valves, and that goes on, which is another 3/4 inch thread onto the 25mm slip. And then what we've got is we've got a small section of 25mm slip, and then we've got the 25mm to 3/4 inch thread, and then you've got the 3/4 inch male thread to a 20mm hose tail. And then we're going to put the suction hose on, which is already in the pond. And this will be the last thing that I actually cut, and then that goes onto there, and then we use the Jubilee clip to clamp that onto place. So let's get cracking and let's glue this all up. So there we go. I hope you agree this filter urn looks much better than a conventional filter. And as an added bonus, we've got a lazy frog on a lily pad. So the next thing to do is once you've installed the filtration system and made sure that it's all working properly, all the filter media is in there, before I run through how to maintain this system, what we need to do is we need to put in some beneficial bacteria. So what we've got in here is we've got water-soluble sachets. It's multi-aqua. There's 14 different strains of bacteria in here that work in a cycle. So some like oxygen, some like living in the silt where there's no oxygen. So there's 14 different strains of bacteria and there's 5 billion bugs per gram, and it's a 25 gram sachet. So there's billions and trillions of bugs going into the water now. And the reason why we put pond bacteria into a wildlife pond is because it breaks down the waste. So it eases pond maintenance. So if you're fed up of reducing the sludge and stuff like that, put the pond bacteria in and let them eat the organic waste. They're not going to eat stone, they're not going to eat the sort of like the sand particles, but what they will do is they'll eat decaying leaves, they'll eat the sludge, they'll eat fish waste, they'll eat snail waste, they'll eat everything organic. So if you've got a filtration system and you're doing far too much cleaning, adding pond bacteria might be the answer. And this is one of the reasons why I developed this in 2005, was because I was doing far too much pond maintenance on filtration systems that weren't adequate for the systems that they were on. This particular system can do a pond about 5 times the size of what we've got here. But as you can see, it fits in really nicely with the landscape and it's very, very easy. And the reason why I put on such a large urn is because it only needs cleaning out once or twice a year, and it's very, very easy and it's very simple to install. So my name's Mark, the Pond Advisor, and I'm here to support you dream, plan and enjoy ponds and water features. Come over here and I'll show you how to look after this.